really quickly. Here we go. Thank you.
All right. So the Athlete Village is pretty much between the wharf and Depot Park. Everything is pretty much in a very close, easy to walk, easy to manage area prior to the race. In terms of parking, there's a lot of metered parking in the beachside community. Sunday morning it will be free, but it's going to be hard to find parking in the immediate area. There are a lot of parking lots along the boardwalk area that are quite an easy walk to transition. But if you are staying in an Airbnb, maybe you just want to plan on leaving from there, leave your car at the Airbnb and walk to the start of the race. You've got check-ins both Friday and Saturday. Friday it's 2 to 7. Saturday, it's 4 a.m., 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and expect lines. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna get this packet pick up done in 30 minutes and then I'm gonna do my brick workout that needs to be done on the day before the race, give yourself some time. The lines are gonna be longer on Saturday than they are on Friday. So if you're there on Friday, that might be a good opportunity to get that out of the way. The first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna ask for your ID and they're going to give you your timing chip before they give you your package. Best thing to do so that you don't lose that thing is just put it on your left ankle right away. And then you're going to head into there's usually a tented area, so you're out of the sun, and you're going to finish the packet pickup area, pick up stuff and get your goodies. You get a wristband at the same time that you get your ankle timer, and this must be worn from this point on until you pick up your bike and gear at the very end of the race. Something new that they're doing this year that I noticed is instead of having just one bike sticker for your frame, there's two, and I kind of missed that. There's one that goes on the stem in the very front of the bike because those photographers want to see you coming. And then there's the one that goes in the back. And they will not let you get into transition if you don't have both stickers on your bike. Um, the athlete briefings are super important. They're very valuable. They cover race day info that's not in the athlete guide. So come with questions. Make sure you have gone through that athlete guide and are thinking, what about this? And have a few questions in your mind. On Friday, it's at 3 or 5 p.m. Saturday, it's 10, 12, 2. And then they actually, I've not seen this before, but they now have a special first timer Q&A at 1 o'clock on Saturday. The other thing to keep in mind is your bike must be checked in on Saturday. That time is between 9 and 4:30 p.m. So if you are for some reason driving up on Saturday, make sure you get a real early start so you're not feeling pressured to get your packet pickup done before you and do your athlete briefing before you drop off your bike. Um, Utilize the Ironman app. This is a great way of tracking your friends, other LA Tri Club members, and you get little updates. They just little bell rings, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's an athlete briefing happening in 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm right here. I might as well take care of that. While you're looking at your app, take a look and see if you have your profile set up and have LA Tri Club listed as your club. We get, once we have a certain number of athletes participating in Ironman branded races for a given year, we have the potential for getting a free entry for a race next year. So it's important that we keep our numbers up so that we get an opportunity to share that with you all. And the best way to find that, unfortunately, it's not as obvious as you would think. Go through, look under Los Angeles. Like LATC doesn't do it, but typing in Los Angeles, you will be able to find LATC. One of the things I noticed was not in the athlete guide that was a little bit of a question mark to me was whether they were giving you any clear plastic bags this year. In the past, they've given you one that you would use for your post-race clothes. And that would be dropped off on the way to the swim start and would be available for you at the end of the race. Why do you need a clothes bag? Couple reasons. You might want to have extra warm clothes for early in the morning, or you just might want to have some fresh, clean clothes post race. You might want to have some extra nutrition in that bag in case there is a late race start. You might want to have some slippers, or not slippers, but something slip on that you can walk throughout the morning once you've gathered all your gear in transition. And you might want to keep that with you as long as possible. So that's a question to ask if it doesn't show up at the athlete briefing. The other thing they do mention is they don't really want you in the water. They're not saying they're going to restrict you from swimming the days prior to the race, but if you are going to do practice swims, which we really encourage you to do, you should swim with a safety buoy and swim with a buddy. Night before the race. Actually, I'll get into some things, other things to do on Friday and Saturday. Definitely get in the ocean. Just 200 yards is fine if that's all you have time for. Look at what where the swim start is and the swim exit, because they're on either side of the pier. And then go from the swim exit and make your way all the way into transition, which is about a third of a mile, and get a sense of, am I going to walk this? Am I going to jog it? What if my feet are freezing cold and they're numb? Some people will opt to leave shoes right there at the swim exit if they really have a problem walking barefoot on gravel or broken cement. But most people will just go barefoot. Your feet are generally kind of numb. You're not going to feel it too much. So, but know what that's going to look like. And obviously you want to get to know T transition area really not well. What is your bike exit? What is your bike in? Where is your run out? And make sure you know where that is in conjunction to where your rack is. Often there are aid stations within the transition area. Sometimes there will be sunscreen. I don't think you're going to get any sun, but there are tables with sunscreen. So just know where the toilets are, where the sunscreen is, where the water is, everything that you might need on race morning when you're rushing around and are not thinking straight. And then we always put on our performance athletes plans. We give them a brick the day before the race. So you have some options in terms of whether you want to check out a portion of the bike course. Maybe you want to drive the course and then you leave your bike. There's a lot of places to park. Maybe you leave the bike towards the middle of the course, or the bike car, the middle of the course, and do a section of the bike course. Because the run course is going to be a little bit harder to access on your bike since some of it is off-road. And then the night before the race, now you've got your packet all unpacked. You've got your gear laid out and ready to go. You've got your timing chip, your heart rate monitor lying down with your race clothes. I don't think you will expect warm temperatures, but just something to keep in mind if you are doing a 70.3 where it's warmer. It's a good idea to freeze a portion of the water in your bottle, your bike bottles, not the whole bottle, but a portion of it to keep it cool. And giving yourself at least an hour before the race starts. So transition opens at 5 and it closes at 6:30 when the race starts. You will see that there will be a line out waiting of people waiting to get in at 5 o'clock. So just think about how well you slept that night. If you're already up, you didn't sleep very well, and you've got your nutrition plan figured out, might as well just make your way to transition so that you can lay everything out and have a little private time before the race starts. And then bundling up. What I usually do, the last 2 races that I had where it was 50 degrees, 50 to 55 in the morning, is I put my wetsuit on before I left my room. I made my way down to the race. I didn't need to bundle up in extra clothes. And I actually just did my run warm up in my wetsuit, and that was totally fine. So those are some things to consider.
I love it. I love it. I have some images I want to share. So I want to share my screen real quick. Here we go. This right here is that route that Carla was just talking about. And you can see that this distance from where you exit the water.
Excuse me 1 second, Ian. I'm just checking. I'm being told Gina Brown is in the waiting room. Is she, or does she not have the proper link?
No, I'm seeing her
No,
here.
I'm in.
Oh, good.
I'm in.
Oh, you are.
Hi,
Okay.
everybody.
Hi, Gina.
Hi.
Glad you're here. As we look at this, what you'll see is 1,750 feet is about 600 yards. It's over half a mile. And the good news is you will walk. By the way, let me just show you the satellite. Here's your transition area. Is this um, AstroTurf soccer field? By the way, I've never seen this before, but you are not allowed to eat or drink in this soccer field. So if you've brought like pre-race snacks that you want to munch on, you have to leave the soccer field, leave the transition area to do that, which is fine, by the way, because as we say, you're going to walk this concrete path all the way down this route through this roundabout and then onto the pier. And then to go to the start is not on this side of the pier, it's on the other side of the pier. And that is what gets you in. And we were talking with Nathan earlier that it might be a nice plan to bring some old socks that are pretty thick and put those on when you leave transition, you've got your wetsuit on, and just wear those socks on this walk to protect your feet until you get in the queue, and even leave them on in the sand because the sand can be very damp and cold. And the last thing you need is for your feet to get colder than they're going to get already. And then just throw them in a beach trash can before you start. Then when you finish the swim, do this barefoot. The walk jog to the bike in T1. So I'm going to leave this and come back to
Oh, Ian, can I share a tip that someone, I don't remember who taught me this, but like if you ever end up at a hotel room that has those disposable
oh
slippers,
yeah,
keep those and use those
I
for,
like that mine.
yeah.
I don't stay in hotels that fancy,
Well, I
but
don't
thank
know.
you for bringing it.
Well,
Um,
not all.
to get an idea of what it looks like, look at the fog. And this is so common in Santa Cruz in the morning. And here is the race corral just chocked full of athletes waiting to get into the chute to start. And they do a streaming start here, as is the norm. And then you can see these other white fences here are where the athletes are going to line up and go 4 or 5 at a time. If I come down a little farther, here is 5 athletes, 4 athletes, one's hiding behind the arch here. This guy's starting his watch because they're being sent off, and they play beeps, and there's a beep each second that's kind of lower tone, beep, 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 and then the fifth one is beep, higher tone, and that's when you go, and that's every 5 seconds. 4 athletes are coming out of these corrals, and they run about 50, 70 yards down the sand and then into the water. And again, there's buoys out here, but it's tough to see in the common morning fog. And you can also see you're not right beside the pier. You're kind of away from it a little bit. And then once you get around the pier, here's the return. So you can see the buoys that are guiding you to come in. These athletes have stood up waist deep. Carla and I would recommend that you swim until your fingers touch the sand. There's no swell here to catch a wave. You have to swim into the end. So stay horizontal, keep swimming. When your fingers touch the sand, stand up, and then you can move by feet. And then you're heading up through the swim exit arch, and then you're into this route to get up to transition. Any questions or comments about that?
Ian, I want to bring up a couple of things just because we have some athletes who haven't done a 73.3 before. The start of every race is a little bit different, and that image that Ian showed you with the corrals indicates that you can't just jam your way in there. If you plan on being in the, say, planning on finishing your swim in 30 minutes, that would be a 126 per 100 yards. You got to get out of transition early to line up to be at the front of that corral. Even if you're more of a middle of the pack, you can't just be like, oh, my swim start doesn't start for 40 minutes. I can just linger over here eventually. You're not going to be able to squeeze your way into the corral because they're using those fences. Sometimes they're not hard fences and you can just dip under, or there's just an open field and you can squeeze your way in. So on this one, you really do have to get there on time. And which is why we kind of said, keep your feet warm. You're going to be standing there for a while.
There are signs.
Those signs, and talk about the signs, Ian.
I think I have one here. I'm going to share my screen again, and I want to go back to this document. Let me see if I can get it here. Um, I'm just going to go back because I think this is the first wave. So there's some signage right here. Yeah, there's a sign right here that says under 27 minutes that this volunteer is holding. And by the way, if you're not clued into this, a sub 27 minute swim is a little faster than 120 100 pace. And this isn't 120 in a short course yard pool, or this isn't a minute 20 in even a 50-meter pool. It's a minute 20 in open water. That's a fast swimmer. And behind this is a sign that says 30 minutes. Well, that's a 130 open water 100 pace. And then the times keep clicking up. Now, nobody's there checking your Strava to figure out if you're in the right group. That's not the way it runs. It's done on the merit system of you're going to space yourself where it's logical. And the whole reasoning behind this is because they want to reduce some of the overtaking in the swim so that there's less risk of contact. It's a safety thing. But I will say this, if you're capable of swimming 32 minutes for a half Ironman and you're competitive and have big goals, I can make an argument. I can make two arguments for leaving early, for leaving in the 30-minute group. One is if you're capable of swimming 32 minutes on your own, then maybe you're capable of drafting on somebody who's swimming 30 minutes and you actually holding that pace. So that's one thing. Another thing is in a moment here, I'm going to go to the bike course and I'm going to show you which way the wind blows. And there is a huge advantage to getting out to the halfway point of this course as early as you can, because all the wind does is build and it becomes a tailwind that's stronger and stronger as the day goes. So if you can get out there to the turnaround without too much nonsense, without wasting too much time, by jogging a little bit to get to your bike, by having a quick T1, by having stuff on your bike so you're not waiting or stopping to get off the bike, by doing hand-ups in through the aid stations, at pace. Every minute you can save to get there sooner means the headwind's going to be lighter when you get there. And I think there's value in that. So something to consider, something to consider. Here's your bike course. It's out and back. Couldn't be simpler. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because, of course, the in-town section is the tricky bit. So here we go. You're exiting the soccer field park. You have to kind of go through roundabout number one. You're on
I
this
don't,
sort of,
I don't, we're still looking at the corrals.
oh, interesting. Hang on. I'm just going to come out of this and let's go back. Okay, here we go. So you're going to roll along here on this coast road, which has a lot of turns and whatnot. You won't have to stop at any of the stop signs. The road's there's no cars. It's all for us cycling. And when you come up here, you'll make a couple of 90-degree turns to get on Highway 1. And then it's all Highway 1, all the way out to this U-turn out here at mile 27.2. I think there really is only one really legit climb. The hardest climb right here is Scott Creek. And if you look down here, this is mile 15.6-ish, and it tops out at 16.2-ish. So it's about a half a mile. The steepest bits here are 7%, maybe 8%, but most of it's like 4 and 5, so it's not that bad. But the rest is just rolling. And if you look at these hills, most of the climbs immediately follow a descent. So if you're really on it and you're shifting through your gears and you're keeping your speed up on the descent, it's going to give you a piece of the climb on the other side if you're shifting progressively and keeping your cadence up to get over that hump. So work the descents to carry the speed into the next climb because you'll get a portion of it. Maybe a third, maybe a half of the climb, who knows. Now, keep in mind of what this looks like because now I'm going to switch to Wind Finder. Here we are. I'm just going to show you days of the week because it's all the same on the coast. The weather is so consistent here. Here's 8 a.m. on Thursday, 2 days from now, and the wind is incredibly light. And if I go to 11 a.m., it's a tailwind pushing you back from the turnaround towards town. I'm going to go to Friday at 8 a.m.
Do you guys see the little arrows? You might have to give them a little more time.
There's some arrows
Arrows.
that are very light. So when you're riding out at 8 a.m., there's a light headwind. If I click it to 11 a.m., these arrows have gotten bold and strong because the wind has picked up. And the hope is you've made the turnaround by that time, and now you're benefiting from this strong tailwind sending you back. I'm going to go to Saturday, and I'm going to go back to 8 a.m. There's a Slight light side headwind on the way out. We go to 11 a.m. and it's sort of blasting a tailwind on the way back. This is the way it is consistently on the coast day in, day out. It takes a really unusual weather pattern to change this. This is the habit. By the way, this is true for Malibu. If you ride Malibu, you know that when you're going out to Oxnard, it can be light in the morning, but when you turn around, it's very often fast. Now, keep that in mind as I switch back to the bike course. There are some descents here that with a tailwind and a 4 or 5% downhill, it would be great if you could make it into your big chain ring in the front and your smallest cog in the back and drive that pace. Because you risking a little bit and getting out of your comfort zone and getting that bike out to 24, 27, 29 miles an hour, boy, that's a time when you can start coming up with a faster bike split. You're still working it, but you're certainly not putting out the effort you would be going uphill into a headwind. So this is part of a time trial. This is part of a bike race, which is you need to go fast on those descents with the tailwind coming home. I would say this, as you roll into this descent and you already know you're going fast, come out of aero. Put your hands near the brake levers. Be in a wider position so you have more stability. Be closer to your brakes in case something goes weird. Put yourself up in the wind. It's fine because it's going to be a strong tailwind. Keep pedaling and let the speed just roll out and just look well ahead of you. A lot of this is super straight and you're just going to see the hill that's coming and you're going to let the speed just carry into that next climb. Also, do not draft anybody on the return. Like if you're headed out through the headwind, it's legal for you to enter the draft zone and make the pass on the left-hand side and get it all done within 15 seconds. Totally legal. On the way back, don't get near anybody because you never know what they're going to do. They might want to break and stand up and stretch their back, and suddenly you're on them in a hurry. So get away from them, get off to the side, keep communicating, make it safe. When you get back into town, same route pretty much to get along the coast to get back to transition. You're off the bike and then you start what is really a fabulous run. Let me switch to the run course real quick. So
Before you go to the run, I'm just looking for the specifics of where the aid stations are. And if while I'm looking for that, you would talk about grabbing a bottle of water
yeah.
or nutrition.
So I can do it right here. I'm in the athlete guide and I'm scrolling on down to, they have a really nice infographic here.
15 mile 30 just after the turnaround.
Mile 43, yep.
43.
And they're serving Mortal Hydration. They're serving two gels, one with caffeine and one without. They're serving the Morton bars. They also have bananas. And there's toilets at each aid station. Now, I just want to say this. Do not stop your bike. Do not get off your bike. It'd be best even if you didn't slow down your bike because they generally set the aid station on a little uphill, so you're already going slower. Point at your volunteer who has the bottle you want to take. Like make contact with that person. You can't do it with your eyes because you've probably got glasses on that are mirrored. So point at them. I mean, really physically tell the story of I want your bottle. Because they've been offering bottles to people for hours and people just ignore it and keep going by. And sometimes the volunteers are like disheartened by that. And before you even get there, they're like, nah, he's not going to take it either. And they just take it away. So point at somebody, take an early bottle, because if you bobble it or drop it or anything goes awry, you can just point at the next volunteer and keep going. Also, if you want like one of the electrolyte drinks in your cage, point at the electrolyte drink person, grab the bottle, put it in your cage, and then point at a water bottle person right away. And you can very safely, easily, and legally take a water bottle, take 2 pulls off it, and throw it on the ground. Like you don't have to keep it. You can just, if you just want a piece, or if it's hot and you want to put it over your helmet or back, fine. You can do whatever you want with that bottle. If you've just stood up on a descent and peed all over yourself, you can take that bottle and rinse yourself off, throw it on the ground. Like you can do whatever you want with it. You don't have to, just because you took it doesn't mean you have to keep it and empty. Also, there is legal littering for about 50 to 100 yards leading into the aid station and going out. So if you've got an empty bottle in your cage and you want to take a bottle up and put it in there, as you go into the aid station, grab your empty bottle, make sure you're done with it, throw it down on the ground, point at the volunteer, take a hand up, holster it, and there'll be people offering gels and bars and everything else, and you can just keep communicating with them and grab what you need as you go. Do not stop. Do not get off your bike unless you need to use the porta potty that's there. Okay, to the run. It's a beautiful run. You start on the same route that you rode out of town, and you're kind of meandering along here, and it's pretty flat. I mean, it's pretty nice. You don't get into a legit climb until you're about 4 miles in, and you're just going away from the coast, so it only goes up a little bit. It's not even 2% for a while, maybe a moment of steepness before you level out up here. But then you come into this gorgeous dirt hard packed trail section that's right along the bluff that's just stunning. If you want to wear an expensive super shoe, a carbon insole shoe, they'll work here too. It's fine. And then you get back out and you return the way you go, come back down, and you're into the finish, which is right here at the water's edge. And then if we go back to the guide, here are your run course aid stations. It's approximately every 1.5 miles. And there's water, there's mortal, there's cola, there's gels, there's solids, chips, pretzels, bananas, orange, and there's a porta potty at every aid station. So there's a lot to deal with there. I want to say this. If you've gotten behind in your fueling on the bike, if something's gone wrong, you dropped something or whatever, you forgot. Maybe you wanted to get in 80 grams of carbs per hour and you only got in 60, or let's say you only got in 20 in the last hour and you know you're in trouble. Run to the first aid station, and as soon as you arrive there, start walking. And don't walk for pace. Walk to slow down. Take a gel, chase it with some water, drink a cola, like whatever you need, but bring those simple sugars on board and keep walking until you're at the end of the aid station, sipping and snacking on whatever you need, and then start an easy run again. In a race this long, if you go through a bad time, and I'm being deliberately vague about bad time because when somebody bonks, it can present as dizziness, it can present as frustration, it can present as fatigue, it can present a lot of different ways. If you go through a bad time, 95% of the resolution of that is slow down and eat. The reason why you slow down is so that your body will send blood to your digestive tract and you'll get your blood sugar faster. If you keep going hard and the blood has to stay dispersed to skin for cooling, heart, head, muscles, etc., then it's going to take longer. But if you slow down and you eat, maybe in 90 seconds, 2 minutes, you're feeling great again, and now you're ready to go. So you can, in a race like this, go through 2, 3 bad times, slow down, eat, and get back on the gas and still have a great race. So do not avoid doing right by that.
Um, the first three and the last 3 miles of the course, you're running along the coast.
Yeah.
Visualize Palisades Park, except you're on a sidewalk and it's difficult to pass people.
Mhm.
So give yourself that visual. And then the last 50 feet to the finish line, you're running on sand. That's fun.
That's
So
fun.
know that that was going to happen. Be ready for it.
Let's take some questions. I've got a couple of things I want to close with, but let's take some questions before then. Really?
What color goggles?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that, mine. That's funny.
Oh,
It's
If
so often foggy here that for you to do clears would be just fine. Also, um, if you're a right breather,
that's
there's,
me.
there's quite an advantage here because the pier is always on your right, and you can sight forward fewer times because you can kind of, as you're turning for breath, see the pier and know you're going straight in relation to the pier. So if you did a light color goggle, it's going to be probably best because it's so often foggy. Also, if you're a right breather and you're looking at the pier, you're looking west, and so the sun isn't rising into your eyes. And then when you're on the other side of the pier, generally you're shaded by the pier and sunrise, and so you can probably get away with that pretty easily.
you have amber
Mhm.
color works really well in low light, foggy conditions. Plus, the orange buoys show up brighter.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
Hey, dumb question on the water bottle thing on the bike. Like, are these bottles that fit in normal cages or do they like rattle around?
Yeah, that's not a dumb question. That's an important question. No, they're bike bottles that will stick in your cage very nicely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
That's a good question.
I always ask that question to the briefing because in Finland they gave us bottles that were so big they didn't fit in our cages, and I keep my back cage open so I can put it in there, but it doesn't always fit.
Yeah,
So you
that's
should
bad.
ask at the briefing if it fits.
Yeah, ask at the briefing, sure, but yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I would say this too. If it's off by a little bit, I think that the pavement is so smooth on this course that it's not like it's going to get ejected. I think you're pretty good at holding on to even a bottle that's a little too small, but I think they've been good in the past of getting the right size bottle for hand-ups.
I just remembered something that I wanted to bring up, which is checking out the bike. And I made this note here, and I don't know if it's because of a racer who told me, an athlete who told me this from last year, or if it was in the athlete briefing. But I wrote down, cannot check out bike until 2 p.m. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it is pretty standard for them to not let you go into transition area until the last biker has completed their bike course, which means a lot of you are probably thinking, "Hey, I'm not getting on the podium. Had a great time. You're going to snack, you're going to refuel. You might jump in the water one more time and you're going to want to hit the road." You may not be able to do that. That's another question to ask at athlete briefing.
I can't, I think the parts of Highway 1 are closed, but I think there's an area that it's opened up, if I remember
That
correctly.
wouldn't surprise me. I do think there's a piece of this that has cars on it, and you're meant to ride as far to the right as you can. Look,
The
in
shoulder
terms of
is pretty big from what I
yeah,
remember.
in terms of rules, the rules in the swim are pretty simple. Don't cut the turn buoys. Don't deliberately attack someone physically. Those are pretty much the priority rules in swimming. Um, the rules in the run are pretty straightforward. Don't cut the course. Don't wear earbuds. There's a lot of rules in the bike, and the rules in the bike are about avoiding drafting. So you have to ride to the right all the time until you're passing somebody, and then you have to pass on the left. And when that pass is over, you have to get back over to the right because if you hang out there on the left, it's considered blocking. In fact, I'll go a step further. If you're coming up behind somebody and then you're going to swing out to the left to pass them, but there's somebody coming up behind you really fast, if you pull out in front of them, that's considered blocking. Now, just for polite reasons and keeping your karma clean, don't do any of this stuff. Like be aware of what's going around you. And before you even enter somebody's draft zone, look back over your left shoulder and see who's coming so that you can time your slipstream, pull out, pass, everything, and not block somebody who's coming up. It would require an official to be on a motorcycle to see you do this to get in trouble. So you don't want to worry about that. You just always want to play by the rules so that there's not a problem. So ride to the right, pass on the left, communicate when you're going to do it so nobody does anything kooky, and just live by safety first, and it'll be a good race for you. That's the best way to approach it.
I have a newcomer question. It's my first race, and I haven't rode by. I know I only have two cages, and I'm wondering if I need three bottles or
No.
two bottles
Two bottles are perfect.
with 750 ml.
You'll want to drink 3 on this course.
Yes,
You can take a hand up from an aid station. Fine.
but so I grab one. Should I throw away my own or
Yeah, bring a bottle you're not in love with that you're going to dispose of. You're going to trash.
okay?
And
So as we described, before you get to the aid station, there's an area where you can drop garbage. You're going to get rid of that empty bottle before you point out to the volunteer, "Hey, I want what you've got."
Okay, I don't have any 750 ml
it's
bottles.
fine. It's fine. And you and Carla can figure out your math because one of those bottles could be water or both of them could be electrolyte. It could be mixed rich so that you're getting in the grams of carbohydrate. It all depends on how you want to do that, and you and Carla can figure that out.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. Thanks.
I
Hey
want to
Ian,
throw
this
it.
is Bill.
Oh,
I've
go
been
ahead,
doing
Bill.
this. Yeah, I've been doing this race since it was Big Kahuna. I've done it, I got a stack of medals and all. Anyway, I wanted to point out that there is that railroad track that crosses Highway 1 at Davenport at an angle.
Ooh, Bill,
It
this
doesn't
is
go,
local
it's not
knowledge that we
perpendicular.
love.
It's like 45 degrees. And I've seen people go down there, and in the past, I've seen an ambulance parked there because it happens. So,
Wow, this is
if you're not
great.
familiar with crossing railroad tracks, make sure you go across them perpendicular if possible.
This is at Davenport, you say.
Davenport, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a couple
here.
of signs for a concrete plant
Here it is
and
right here. I got it. Yeah, you can see
yeah,
the
okay.
railroad tracks coming off.
There it is. Yep, and you can see the angle they go at.
Yeah, so this is at mile 13 on the way out and mile 41 on the way back, and you can see the angle of the railroad tracks. This is a very important moment. Bill, thanks for bringing this up. This is great.
You bet.
Nice. Yeah, good. Um, I want to touch on a couple of things. There are two websites you could go to. One is Silca, Silca, and the other one is Vittoria, Vittoria. Silca and Victoria both have tire pressure calculators. And I think you should go there before the race and answer all the questions. You have to answer like 6 or 7 questions. You have to know how much you weigh and you have to guess at how much your bike weighs. By the way, it's probably 21 pounds, could be 20, somewhere around there. Because we're talking water bottles and kit bag and all the accoutrement. So add your body weight to about 21 pounds, come up with your total weight. You're going to want to know that. You need to look at the side of the tire and find out how wide your tire is. If you're obsessive like me, you'll go out and get a calibrator and really measure the sides of it to know how it really inflates to, on your rim. But you can just read the side. Well, maybe it's 26 millimeters wide, maybe it's 28, maybe it's 30. And you're going to put in all this information. And the asphalt there is pretty smooth, and there'll be images on the Silca site saying what road surface are you on, and you can look at the pictures and go, oh yeah, I'm on that kind of road. And after you put all this stuff in and you answer all their questions, it's going to tell you the PSI that you should be running in your tires on race day. And in the morning, you should inflate your tires to that exact pressure. This is a thing that in 56 miles could save you 5 minutes, 7 minutes, maybe even. So get your tire pressure right and use that gauge, that calculator at Silca or Vittoria to help you know what your tire pressure should be. Also, if you haven't cleaned your bike, clean your bike before the race. If you don't have time to clean your bike or you don't like cleaning your bike, that's cool. Lubricate your chain before the race. That's a must. So tire pressure and chain lube are absolutes. You've got to do that the day before the race. The tire pressure should be done the morning of the race so that you really know that you're rolling efficiently. And then here's the thing this is the last thing I have to say. And I've saved it for the end. Starting, say, Tuesday, September 2nd, you have to bank sleep going into this race. Starting Tuesday night, you need to shut down your screens, mellow out. At 8 p.m., you need to start getting dim and calm. You need to go the extra mile to make sure everything is dark and quiet in your bedroom, that your temperature's right, that kids and dogs aren't going to disturb your sleep. You need to set yourself up so that you get 8+ hours of sleep Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You're not going to sleep well the night before the race. Nobody does. It's okay. If you bank sleep for those days leading up beforehand, you can sleep in fits and starts and get up at 4:30 or whatever's going to happen. You can do all that and you'll still be fresh as a daisy for the race. But you have to plan on banking sleep those nights beforehand. You have to cancel your social engagements. You've got to eat how you know you want to eat so you sleep well. You've got to set yourself up for success. It is probably the most powerful thing you can do for your race. Anything else?